Hello, Western Civilization 105 class. So I'm going to try to keep this announcement as brief as possible. But uh, just as we were talking, I was talking about with all of you in announcements that these classes move fast. This is the last week um, of this summer session, and then there's finals next week. It's that simple. And so so there's a few things that I need to make sure that we're all on the same page with. Remember that late work, if you turn it in and did not get permission, I automatically give it a 0. I don't look at it. Now, some of you may have sent me some late work without asking, and early on in the semester, I went ahead and did it. Or sometimes I confused some of you, honestly, with some other people who communicated with me, and you just got lucky, okay? But I have to manage my time now to make sure that in my classes that I'm going to be able to get all of your grades in on time. And for some folks, some students have been communicating very well with me, and they do have a lot of late work to turn in, and I'm making sure I'm managing my time, and so I can't get a dump of late work from a student who never communicated with me. Okay, so now for those of you who have been communicating with me, we only have until this Sunday. So whatever arrangements we discussed, I have to have late work in by Sunday, period. Because I'm not going to have time. I'm going to get the finals, and then I'm going to grade, and I have to get your grades in on time. So that's just where we're at with the semester. Now, I also want to remind you that extra credit work, there's no late work you can turn in for extra credit. That's something I mentioned, I think, in a few of them. But just focus on late required work. Extra credit, I offer a lot of it, but when the week passes, then that's it. There's no other opportunity for for the extra credit. Okay, you weren't required to do a paper that week. That was something that I'm sure that you appreciated, but it's also like the late work. The extra credit thing is just something if you are going to be able to get it on time. So again, if we had a conversation, focus in on that. Now, I just need to mention something really quick on information. So we're almost done with the class, and there was so much to cover. A lot of stuff that I'm having is somewhat dated at the end, and there has been just so many rapid fire sets of events that are so much a part of affecting the modern Western world. Because remember, I'm focusing on that in this class because this class is on Western civilization. So obviously, the Russia-Ukraine battle is very important. I think many of the information that I put out there, this was early on as it was happening, and I still read a lot of debates about exactly what the results and what's really, where we're at now with this tragic event. But mainly I wanted you to see the context and the way leaders have been thinking about it and talking about it. And so that's important. One of the elements that I did not get to incorporate the way I wanted to, other than like an end reading, is the way that the Israel-Palestine conflict has blown up in such a major way and affecting our political culture here and possibly spinning into a broader Middle East war. And that's the United States' relationship with Israel and supplying it with weapons and letting it the state do anything that they want to with no repercussions. And that is an empirical fact. And regardless of where you stand on the subject there, that's what's happening. I would have to cover the entire background. That's actually my expertise, and I wish I could. In my WorldCiv class, I was able to cover this quite a bit. Unfortunately, I just think this is going to be... It's just rough because we had time constraints, and I chose to end us looking at China-West relations and Russia and Ukraine. But the Israel-Palestine conflict, in many ways, I think is going to be the most important one to understand. And I don't have time for that. So you'll at least read one article link that I posted on it. If you're interested in the topic, I can give you some of my own sources and my own positions on it. At this point, it's difficult too because with the way that things are going, it's difficult to be neutral. But I want to just clarify, I am a pro-peace person. I don't believe in hatred between any communities or of anybody, but I do believe that there's states and ideologies that can be blamed for things, right? And I think, and I'm just going to have to say this on a principled term, and I'm going to have to not really be able to go into much detail about it, but I think that the Israeli state is doing ethnic cleansing. I think that history will document that very thoroughly. It's already, there's already quite a bit of documentation by Israeli human rights groups about its apartheid situation, and I think Netanyahu and his party, he's wanting to stay in power, and he's escalating a war in the Middle East that is basically going to drag the United States and other superpowers into, and somehow the United States is letting this happen, is supporting this, and I realize that I'm saying something very controversial to many people and opening up that can of worms, but I just want to state it here because I do think this, just as I would have condemned many of the things, the rise of certain regimes and actions, let's say during World War II, I can't support this either, and I need to call it out for what it is. You have to call a spade a spade. And I realize that for some of you, if you're not really, there's, it's just a can of worms, but it's an important part of events that are taking place now. And mixing this with Ukraine and then the current election coming up, it's contentious, and like the whole mess of just what's going on in America. It's a lot of stuff, it's a messy situation. So I just wanted you to I just had to put that last bit in there. But ultimately, what I want to see is everybody getting a just peace. The majority of the world, people want to just have barbecues with their families, and that's how it should be happening, right? Okay, so you all have a good week. We'll be in touch, and we'll get ourselves ready for the final. But keep in mind, the last thing I was going to say, the final is only going to be around 25 to 30 points. So it's what's important is how you've